Everyone wants to make money in high school, but honestly, I think it's really overrated. The truth is, when you want to make money in high school, people don't tell you about all the complications that come with making money in high school and chasing after the bag and making yourself a better person. I remember back when I was in high school trying to start an online business, there were a lot of complications. I ran into a lot of setback when I had projects that were due on school and I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I had a lot of social isolation. I remember when I would just push away my friend group and just not associate with anybody because I thought I was better. And because I also wanted to focus more on my business endeavors and make money. And further down the line, I also realized there are a lot of age restrictions when it comes to like getting a tax ID or setting up a Stripe or PayPal account or even using certain networking platforms for your business. So in this video, I'm going to debunk why chasing money in high school isn't what's important and what you should be doing instead. And finally, what I wish I did differently as a high school student coming from a college student. So, if you're in high school right now, you have two choices. Waste time chasing money the hard way, or set yourself up for future success. Let's talk about it. So, the first point I want to talk about is why making money in high school is overrated. Most online business models are not tailored, they're not designed for high schoolers. They are more tailored to people who, I don't want to say know what they're doing, but that's basically what it means. Now, there's a bunch of YouTube tutorials for just about every business model there is on the planet, and it's really easy for somebody to learn how to do a certain business model and then try to implement it. But then you run into age restrictions and time constraints. Time constraints because unless you're just completely neglecting high school, you'll have projects that are due, you'll have assignments that are due, and even if you're on top of that, if you do sports will take up a lot of your time as well. And usually if you're going down this rabbit hole of self-development, self-improvement, then you're also trying to tack on gym routines, you're trying to tack on family time or socialization time, all that stuff, and it all just gets in the way and conflicts with each other. With age constraints, brokers for payment methods like Stripe, they won't let you create an account or verify your account until you're over the age of 18, which is an issue because Stripe is one of the best solopreneur payment methods out there. And social media platforms like LinkedIn won't let you create an account unless you're over the age of 18, which is also a problem because that's the best way to network with professionals and find professional clients that are willing to pay your ticket price. So when I mentioned social life and the time constraints, making a business in high school or an online business in high school, it has a very negative impact on your social life. Like as I mentioned in the intro of the video, it impacted my social life very negatively. I was subconsciously pushing everybody away that wasn't on the same page I was. And it was really hard to find people in that niche that were actually doing the stuff that I wanted to do, or even in the same general field, had the same vision, had the same ambition. I just couldn't find it. And it made my high school years very lonely. I remember explicitly when I started working on myself and started developing a business, I cut out all video games, which as most people do when they first start down this rabbit hole, which took away from most of my friends because that's what all of them were doing, right? But when I cut out those video games, it just subconsciously pushed them away. And even if that wasn't my intention, there was a gap that was forming in between me and my friend group. And potentially good friends that just didn't have the same ambition as I did at the time, that still needed some time to mature, were no longer my friends, put simply. As I mentioned before, with the age restriction, there was a lot of setback when I was trying to network with LinkedIn, when I was trying to create a Stripe account, when I was reviewing tax information. Most of it is tailored to the adult, and you can get into a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing if you set out before you're 18. And then this is the pivotal point for me. I realized that self-investment was more important than building an online business in high school. I realized if I had worked on myself, created a more defined belief of myself, and built up more self-confidence, then I would be able to tackle the online business aspect when all the doors were open to me. And that's exactly what I started doing. I spent the last 2 years of my high school career figuring out that I cannot work on an online business. And that's not to say that it's not possible. It absolutely is possible. It's just difficult. I personally found that it was extremely difficult to start what I wanted to do. So I made the realization self-investment was more important. And this leads me into the next topic. What should you work on instead if it's not an online business? And it's very important you pay attention to this topic because the last point is very, very important. So you should work on developing monetizable skills such as coding, if that's what you're into, copywriting, video editing, content creation, that sort of thing. Build your skill set. The more skills you have, the more value you can bring to a company, even if it's your own company. Another thing that you should absolutely start working on in high school is starting and developing a personal brand. If you do this earlier, then by the time you can actually start a business without any constraints, you'll have an audience which will generate warm leads, and that will help jump boost your business. It's also very important to develop time management and automation skills. Time management skills are very important when you're working for yourself because when you work for yourself, it's all self-driven. And if it's all self-driven, it's really easy to just say, I'm just not going to work today. Or I'm only going to work for an hour, and you're really inconsistent with your times. And then next thing you know, it takes you 4 months before you sign your first client. And automation skills are very important, not necessarily in the sense of programming, although most of it could potentially require you to program at least some sort of it, but learning how to use ChatGPT to write video scripts or help you with templates or write emails, that sort of thing is very important and can save you plenty of time, so much time. Now, another thing that is more important than starting an online business is find your purpose. It's very important to find your purpose early, before your 20s, because if you wait until later, it'll just set you back. You'll realize you have motivation, but no discipline. You have no long-term drive to actually get the job done. Now, for the final thing that you should do instead of building an online business in high school is to build a strong friend group of like-minded individuals. This helps in every other aspect. All the other points that I mentioned before, it will help with those aspects, and it will make cyclical depression basically irrelevant. You won't have to feel isolated. You won't feel alone. You'll feel way more confident about your business and your ideas, and your friends can help you find flaws with your ideas, and then you can fix them together, problem solve, and then next thing you know, you have an even more profitable business. Now, as I mentioned before with my experience, I missed this step. I basically pushed most of my friends away aside from a select few. Said I wasn't going out to party. I wasn't going out to spend time with friends. I was going to focus on myself and my business, and I missed this opportunity. Now I'm playing catch up. Let's talk about social isolation now. So when I was in high school, and I said this for like the third time now, I pushed all my friends away, and I didn't have many ambitious friends. Even the ones that did stick, they were not extremely ambitious. So I was all alone. I feel like I'm alone in this game where I'm trying to be successful. I have no one to bounce off ideas with because they're not thinking like I am. And it's all right to have friends like that, but it's more important to have friends where you can socialize, be buddy-buddy, and bounce business ideas off of. And get that professional feedback, the unfiltered feedback, even if it's something you don't want to hear. It's really important to get that feedback from them so that way you can become a better person or you can build that better business. The effect that not having a good friend group has had on me is still affecting me now. I'm going through cyclical depression right now, and I don't like to make excuses. That's why I'm still recording videos. It's why I'm still finding a way to get my work done. But it would be so much easier. I would be a lot more confident in myself in my time of need if I had those friends that I could rely on. So, how do you avoid social isolation? Develop networking skills. Develop your communicating skills, your relationship skills. Build that up, and it will be extremely difficult for people that are like-minded like you. It'll be a lot easier to find them. It'll be a lot difficult for them to actually say no to being a part of your group because you'll provide so much value to them that it's a no-brainer. Another good way to tackle this is if you develop a personal brand early on, you find people that are like abroad. Like it opens the doors to a much bigger audience and skill base where you can say, create a community like a Discord server or a newsletter or somewhere where you can communicate with your followers and then get to know your followers. And then of that, you will actually create high-level friends that will help you boost your business. They'll be the kind of friend that you can lean on, the kind of friend that you expect them to be when they need to be that friend, and you won't even have to say anything to them. It'll just happen. So building a personal brand will also help with that and expedite the process. So with that being said, I just gave you all of the necessary resources to make a decision right now. You can either chase money the hard way, continue to chase money the hard way, or you can set yourself up for future success by focusing inward, focus on yourself and your relationships, opposed to a business in high school. I know from experience, if you set yourself up in high school, your future self will thank you. Now, with that all being said, I will see you guys next week. In my next video. You got this.